Robin, I am so excited to talk about a proper, you know, kung fu movie because if I've learned
Yeah.
anything from the only Karate Kid that exists in my mind, it's that it's about a Chinese form of martial arts that young, Jaden Smith learns from Jackie Chan, and
What
I'm
movie
sure
is this?
those.
I don't
I,
understand.
I
That
learned
it,
everything I learned from Kung Fu Hustle.
yeah,
That's all I know.
man.
And luckily, hey, this movie's more like Kung Fu Hustle than it is like Karate Kid. Let's be
Uh,
honest.
and that's a good thing. At
It
least
is a
the
good
Karate
thing.
Kid you're talking about, which doesn't actually involve karate, it involves
Yeah.
kung fu.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm really glad to go from a masterpiece such as masterpiece of the universe to a just real piece of shit we can like sink our teeth
Uh,
into and just rip apart. Like everybody hates this movie. I'm so psyched to talk about this.
let's talk about it. It's from year 2000. There was no 9/11. It was a beautiful time in America.
Was there internet? I don't,
In
there's a
2000,
little bit of
yeah,
internet.
it sucked, but we had it.
All right, let's get rolling. Welcome, Sword Boys, Sword Girls, Broads, Bastards, everybody in the armory, to yet another season of Sword Boys, this time covering the Ang Lee directed 2000 film Hidden
Hulk. Oh, sorry.
Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon. Yeah. For those of you Ang Lee heads, this movie was directly
Anglophiles.
the Anglophiles.
We're all
Uh,
Anglophiles here.
This movie was preceded by 1999's Ride with the Devil, which was a 6.7 out of 10. And it was the next movie after this was 2003's Hulk, which was a 5.6 out of 10. But we don't have to worry about that because, like I said, we're talking about Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon. Cut one begins with the beginning of the movie and goes until 21 minutes, 10 seconds, starting with everyone excited that Lee Bai is in town and ending with
Hey.
some punk kid getting away with the Green Destiny.
Well, let's talk about this. This movie is kind of outside of our wheelhouse of older,
Mhm.
kind of memory movies. I mean, now it's 25 years old, so it is old.
Yeah.
So for our young broads and our young bastards, welcome to a movie you might not have seen. You might be like, oh, this is my daddy's movie. This is so old. But
So for
yeah,
for all of those Gen Z kids running around, this literally is their dad's sword movie.
yes.
Yeah. Now he did Ride with the Devil before this, huh? So he
Yeah.
didn't. Did he bring like Jewel or Skeet Ulrich? Do they pop up later in the movie?
Well, the one thing I'm glad Ang Lee did not port over from Ride Was the Devil was the Confederate storyline.
Oh,
Because I haven't actually seen Ride with the Devil, but I read the synopsis and it says something about people joining up with the Confederate Army, and I'm like, oh, don't like that. Uh,
yike! Yeah, that we got the guys from Game of Thrones tried to do a Confederate show, and that got widely panned before it even got a script was made, I think.
good, good,
But yeah, we're all better for it.
yeah.
Yeah.
But
So yeah, this is
but
like honestly the biggest whiplash in a podcast. I got to say, biggest whiplash in a podcast since I don't know when Serial went from season one to season two. Probably equitable from Masters of the Universe to Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon. Actually, reverse
How can
that.
you guys
Break it.
forget already Highlander to Highlander 2? How can you
Well,
forget? This is
we didn't
this
go
is Whiplash.
directly to it.
Speaking of Highlander, what year does this movie take place in, and where was Connor McLeod during it?
I'm glad you asked.
Oh,
For our Cotter
I love
McLeod
this
watch,
question.
this movie takes place during the Qing Dynasty, which spans from 1644 to 1912, and right in the
Is it the
middle of
Crouching
that,
Time Dynasty? Crouching
yes.
Dynasty? Okay, good.
We'll get
But,
to the hidden dynasty at the end.
that span of time perfectly encapsulates what the Connor McLeod timeline refers to as his soldier phase,
Uh-huh.
So he's doing things like fighting in the Revolutionary War and the French Revolution. He fights Napoleon at Waterloo. He goes back to America for the Civil War. The closest that Connor gets to China in this time period was in 1715. He was on a boat in the South China Sea when he heard that Duncan MacLeod was getting married, and he's like, nope, can't let that happen. So he sails from South China Sea.
Wait, he was
all
on
the way
a
up to
boat.
Ireland.
He was on a boat and he heard he was getting married from who?
Yep.
Seagulls?
You know, the what I can only assume is a series of carrier pigeons that operate constantly between all immortals.
Luckily, he had his swim trunks and his flippy floppies.
Yep.
Dumb. Can't wait. I can't wait to watch. We have to watch at some point one of these, one of those
Connection
Highlander
just
movies.
Messed up.
I'm telling you, we need to watch Highlander Endgame because that's the one where him and Duncan are palling around. But
I've looked up a couple
there.
things, and they say this movie takes place in 1778.
Okay.
This movie takes place in the 1800s.
Okay.
I haven't found exactly when it's supposed to be. I know if you ask like the people who wrote this movie, they're like, the books that this is based on. One, this is based on a book, guys. Is this our first movie that's based on a book other than The Three Musketeers?
I think Hawk the Slayer was based on something by Charlotte Bronte.
Probably. But this is based on a book series, but the people who wrote the books are like, this is not a real, like, it's not historically accurate. Think of it like Braveheart, another sword movie, or another great movie, The Patriot. Just anything with Mel Gibson. Just historically inaccurate, but fun.
Yeah, I think it was Ang Lee who describes this movie as taking place in a China that aesthetically could have existed, but probably didn't.
Yeah.
Yeah, like there's less gravity here. Pretty interesting.
Well, they're closer. The moon's closer back then. That's just how it was. It is the hidden
closer moon.
The moon is the hidden dragon that we met along the way.
Oh, we're supposed to take over from Jonathan took a drink. We're supposed to like roll on.
Yeah, you guys are supposed to keep going, kill the dead air.
Sorry,
keep drinking.
So anyway, Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, going off of the subject of movie quality, was released in 2000, and during the 73rd Academy Awards in 2001, this movie was nominated for 10 Oscars, won 4 of them, and so far is the only martial arts film to date to be nominated for an Academy Award for Best Picture.
And just like The Bear, it was in Best Comedy, and it won.
Do you guys know what movie this lost the Best Picture nom to?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, geez, I don't know without you.
I know I read it, but I can't. It's not Limitless. I don't remember everything that I read.
Slayer, it says.
Yeah, that would be. Oh, mine says Masters of the Universe. Weird. What did it lose to?
So it lost to. Let me get.
You don't know either.
You were just asking us. Wow, I thought that was rhetorical.
Nope. It lost to Gladiator.
Gladiator. I remember that when she yelled Gladiator, the old lady from Cleopatra yelled Gladiator. Yeah. Wait, is that the same person? What's her? Who's in the movie Cleopatra? Had a tracheotomy. Elizabeth Taylor. It was Elizabeth Taylor. Yeah, it was Elizabeth Taylor. She's the one who says, "Don't you?" Okay, you guys might be too young, but not you, Robin. You're old. You should remember this. At the end, you know how they always shuffle some old Hollywood nobody out there, like when they let Warren Beatty screw up.
Yeah, yep.
The awards. So this year they let Elizabeth Taylor come out, and she read it like she'd never seen the word gladiator, but was super also excited about it. She's like, "And the winner is Gladiator." Made me laugh. Well, good, because there's going to be a new Gladiator movie coming out.
I know, it makes me think that maybe we should do the first one. I don't know.
We should definitely do the first one, because the second one's going to be a TC Boo, because it looks like shit.
Yeah,
it looks bad.
The Kanye West score is really gonna.
When I heard that, awesome. I looked at my wife and just like, "What the fuck is going on?" That's the first thing I said.
They say Coliseum. That's the way it works. Right?
It sounds absurd.
We'll come back to that one. That's in the future, guys. Let's talk about the past. Let's talk about the 1770s through the 1850s. Maybe
this is during the Qing Dynasty. That's all Wikipedia tells me. It doesn't say years, just is during the Qing Dynasty. And
King with a Q.
Yeah, with a Q. Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh,
You know,
which I guess was proclaimed in 1636, but I don't know.
Well, when a
it
dynasty
lasted until
lasts-
1912.
Yeah,
So-
it lasted until modern China. So
all right. I think the big question here that we're dancing around is when this movie came out, I was like 13. So I was not in my martial arts movie phase. So I didn't see this one in theaters. I actually saw this for the first time in preparation for recording this season because I knew that we had watched so many Western films. I'm like, it's time for us to watch, like an Eastern sword movie. And the best one that I could think of was this. And
you said that you thought that this is the best one before you saw it, or did you watch it and go, "Oh, this is the one"?
Both. I thought it was the best before I saw it, and then I watched it and I said, "Yes, I feel vindicated. I made the right choice."
Just like Zack Snyder's Justice League, exactly.
Release I don't know who.
The Lee cut.
The Lee cut.
Yeah.
So this is a movie that I'm going to come out and say it right up front. I didn't really get the hype. I was 26 years old. Remember, I saw it in the movie theater. I was like, oh, you've got to see this beautiful movie. And I love Kung Fu movies. I love Kung Fu movies. I used to work at this point. I did not work at a video store anymore, but I probably did 2 years before this. So I was watching half a loaf of Kung Fu, every Jackie Chan movie I could get my hands on, any sort of Chinese cinema. I was watching tons we were like the artsy fartsy place that we had like every weird martial arts movie that you had to like you only get one copy. Like they're like, oh, that copy's out. You can't have it. That kind of thing.
Yeah.
And I remember I saw this in the movie theater and I remember 10 minutes in, because it happened to me again. I 10 minutes in, I went, oh, this is not what I expected. It's a lot of they're talking a lot more than I was expecting. Oh, and it's all in Mandarin. Okay. So yes. and at the time I didn't know this. Now I know why I feel like it's a little stilted, because this seems like a logistical thing that the director probably should have worked on. Why do a movie in Mandarin when no one really speaks Mandarin that was in this movie? They all had to learn Mandarin. And it's like, that seems stressful.
Oh, wow. Oh, the actors didn't know Mandarin?
That is one of my favorites.
Not as the main cast. I'm sure some of them did. But Michelle Yeoh, for instance, has an American Mandarin accent. Yep. She did not know Mandarin. Chow Yun-fat knew Mandarin, but it's one of those languages that not everybody speaks. It's you're taught it and then you like forget about it, like Latin. Yeah. So like Chow Yun-fat to this day is like, it's a shit accent. He'll say that. He goes, it's a shit accent. I know it.
So Chow Yun-fat's accent was Cantonese. Michelle Yeoh's accent was coming from an English/Malaysian speaker. What's the name of the young woman who plays Jen?
Zhang
Zhang. She spoke with a Beijing accent, and Cheng Chen, he had another. I can't remember where his accent was from.
The point is, why not just do it in a third language? Like, why not?
It was so bad.
Yeah,
the accents were so bad that in some regions of China they redubbed the movie into Mandarin again.
Yeah.
Wow.
So this movie didn't have to be in Mandarin. It could have been in English. And Ang Lee was like, no, I want it to be
Chinese, modern Chinese. I don't care. I'm not going to.
What about Italian? Like, oh, let's get the sword. The creed of destiny.
Well,
manja.
As you know, we normally do voices in this show. And since we're not giant racists, Italian may be where we go with some of these.
Yeah. It's all Italian from here on.
There may be some Trade Federation people there.
I will. Oh God, I will say that we may mispronounce things.
We're 100%.
Oh yeah, let's
legitimately mispronounce things constantly.
We're not doing it because we're not. We apologize up front to everyone.
Rick heard there was a sword in this movie, and so we're watching it.
Yeah, it's a sword and it wiggles.
Yeah. Ooh. Ooh. I love it.
Oh, it sings. I love
All
how
right, so
the
let's
Green Destiny sings.
tell me
It's
about the
so
beginning
great.
of it. Tell me about this movie.
Yeah,
Oh,
let's start off in a lovely little village. This is
Undisclosed.
a World Heritage Site.
Oh,
And let's
the
see.
Heritage Foundation?
No, the village that we see at the beginning of this movie is oh god, it's Hong Kunzen,
hung
which is
what?
30
No,
Hong
buckle up,
Kunzen,
everybody. Buckle up.
which
Yeah.
is 30 miles northwest of Huangshan in the Anhui province, west
So this
of
is Florence, right?
Tian.
Oh,
Yeah.
and in this movie, Lee Mubai does have a little ennui.
Yeah.
I noticed. Thought I noticed a little ennui going on with that guy.
Yeah, but this is an actual village. It was built like 900 years ago.
Okay.
And it's like where Shu Lien's like security company is based. Like
Okay.
Li Mubai is coming to town. Literally everybody, like he's like a Disney princess. Everybody in town is like, oh shit, here comes Li Mubai. This guy's awesome.
Yeah. Welcome back, Master Lee. Welcome back, Master Clumpy. We love you. We missed you.
That's me, Mr. Coffee. Oh wait, I can just do my normal accent. It's fine.
How the hell did I get here?
Ni hao, motherfuckers. What's going on? It's been a
This
while.
guy can't even speak Chinese right, Mandarin right. Or yeah.
Well, none of us can speak Mandarin, right? Let's be honest.
Buckle up, everybody. We're really gonna get shit wrong this season. I like immediately I got the Google Lens out and I started like hitting all the signs and I was just like, no, I have to just stop. Like I'm not meant to understand this stuff. But
because you wanted to, like, when you saw ZH, you want to make sure it was not cha, it was ja or whatever it.
No, that like literally like all this different signs. There's I have
the
like
signs, the actual signs.
Yeah, signs. Like on the lanterns it says like, Lee's.
Yeah, it's all lame. It's not.
Yeah,
it's not cool. It's not like it's giving us some hidden things. It's just dumb shit that it says pizza, like from our last movie. It's in neon and just says
eat at Joe's.
It says it just says pizza. Which is, of course, incredibly authentic Mandarin. It's a Mandarin.
Mm-hmm.
It's a me Mandarin. And one note that I had to take care of also, because when you first see this movie, you're like, oh, we're doing that hair. Okay. That hair, do you know the hairstyle's name? It's called a Q. Like Queue. It is a mandated Manchu hairstyle that was adopted by all male subjects of the King China dynasty time.
Okay.
So
it's not a man bun.
It is not a man bun. It is they shave the top of their scalp about halfway and then they grow a long braid in the back. And most men had it and no women were made to do it. And it became like, if you've ever seen a movie with San Francisco in it, you've probably seen this hairstyle. Yeah. They use it a lot. They use it a lot as this is the time. Now, this makes me think it's closer to the 1800s or the 1850s, 1860s, like they're saying, as opposed to the 1700s. Because I've seen, there are a lot of movies that when they show Chinatown in any port city in an old movie, Gangs of New York, anything you want to pick, this is the haircut they have.
I love learning about like we are low-key history boys because I learned a lot. I realized how much I did not learn during schooling that I learned just by researching movies. Like, he's coming from the Wudan Mountain, which is apparently the birthplace of Tai Chi, as well as the famous mountain that Jackie Chan has Jaden Smith climb the steps of to discover the spiritual origins of Kung Fu in some movie called The Karate Kid. It didn't have.
Is that the same Jackie Chan who had a mountain in the back of his Bronx movie when he's Rumble in the Bronx?
Oh yes, the Vancouver
you ever watch
Mountains.
Rumble in the Bronx? Look at the background, you'll see mountains. You're like, that's weird.
Yeah, that's all. That's called the Smallville problem.
He brings that with him. He brings that with him all the time.
Yeah. But he said he was doing some meditation, and that made me think, like, man, I wish I could meditate. Like, I've tried before. I just cannot, and I definitely cannot get to this space where like I'm in deep silence and surrounded by light and I see things, I'd love to be able to just relax and clear my mind and just I don't know, let my mind rest or something.
Well,
But I'm just sitting there going, I gotta get groceries after this. The kids.
well, Robin,
Oh,
you've
shit.
got to be helped.
Yeah.
There has to be medication that helps you get there. I at one
Meditation
point
medication.
in the early meditation medication in the early
That's
2000s,
usually called a quick nap.
in the early 2000s, I took a Tai Chi class. Not class. I was probably in a cult. I'm guessing it was a cult. They had uniforms.
Okay.
And part of it was focusing your center, your center mass and learning all these breathing exercises. It did not involve any like punching or anything, but all the moves are slowly, slow moves. And to be
Yeah.
fair to all Tai Chi, I was probably not doing it right, but the master that was teaching it, probably a cult leader, she did
Great
have
guy.
me for one girl.
Or she. Sorry.
Cult leaders can be women too, Robin.
Darn
God.
it. All right.
And she
canceled.
had me put myself in a position where I had one knee slightly bent, the other one was behind it, and I'm kind of in this like weird little pose. And that's all Tai Chi is. It's a weird little pose. And I was in this pose, and she said, "You said you need to maintain this for 20 minutes, and that's your test." And I'm kind of like, okay, duh, this is gonna be hard. It was the fucking hardest thing I've ever had to do. And I'm standing there, like I'm vibrating and the energy coming out of you is your body's freaking out because you don't stand like
Move.
this. And so there is an energy that happens. It's there. It surrounds us. It binds us.
Did time and space disappear while you're doing this?
Yeah. You don't notice, and literally not time, not space, but time. I didn't know when 20 minutes were up, and she came over and told me to stop, and I'm like, "Oh, has it been 20 minutes?" So that means I went into shock.
Wow.
I don't know what it was, but it's great. It's no shit. So there is. I mean,
that reminds me of it reminds me
years.
of planking, where every minute seems like an eternity. But you're saying when you did this, time went by quick.
It went by quick after the first few minutes of sweating my ass off.
Right.
Where I'm just standing there sweating, and then at a certain point, you just kind of find this calm. You center yourself, and you become one with the universe. And now I'm in a cult. I need help.
Can you teach me your ways, Jonathan?
Sure. Have a beer at least once a week.
Always helps. But yeah, as Li Mubai is walking into this establishment, we got a character named Aunt Wu. She's gonna hang around here. She's not gonna follow us to Peking or anything like that. But she goes and she gets Michelle Yeoh, who is playing Shu Lien, and
how interesting you pronounce it that way.
Who?
Well, it sounds like you're saying like Julian, where I was like a straight up like Shu Lien, but I guess whatever. I don't know if either of us are correct.
You know what? It could be either way. The screenplay just refers to some of these characters by like their last name.
Yeah, she's like called Yu in this
Lee and you and all.
And I was like, nope, I'm not going to call this character Yu. I'm going to get so confused.
Who? Lee?
No, you.
Who? Lee? No, you. Lee?
No, you.
Yeah, I definitely pronounced too much of the E in Shu Lien. But yeah, Shu Lien, this is her establishment. She took it over from her dad, as we're going to figure out in an expositional scene later on. But Li Mubai is coming specifically to visit her because he needs to tell her about this crazy meditation experience that he had. He's like, listen, I meditated so hard that I need to just not be a sword guy anymore.
He's our quintessential sword boy. Is this the earliest we've seen a sword? It wasn't used, but is this the earliest we've seen a sword in a movie? I feel like it was like 3 minutes in.
Oh, it did not take that long at all.
Here's a box. In this box, I have a sword.
I'd like to time it to how long the wrestling scene happens in Highlander, because then the parking garage scene. I don't know.
If you take an edible and listen to Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon soundtrack while watching Highlander, it syncs up perfectly.
I am going to try that later.
Yeah.
Okay.
For anybody that's super interested, we get our first look at the Green Destiny sitting in its box, like a proper look at it, not just the little tuft sticking out from the edge. It's 4 minutes 3 seconds for it to appear on screen.
Well, we're now like Mr. Skin. We'll tell you when the sword with the
Mr.
score,
Sword.
with Mr. Sword with the fast forward into the good parts.
It's crazy how much our sites overlap. This is I found out this is a Jian, Jian, Jian sword. It's a double-edged straight sword, and it's known as like a Tai Chi sword. They call it the gentleman of weapons. And
is it truly a sword with this, like with the bowiness of it and the wiggle of it, or is that from this movie?
I don't know.
Like only a
about
true
that.
master can use the wiggly sword, because that's kind of where we're going with this. But they haven't wiggled it yet. Only in this first cut that we get, you get a little.
Yeah, they wiggled
taste
it a
of the
little
wiggle.
bit. You're right.
Yeah.
Wiggle it a little. But later on, I know we're gonna get more wiggle.
I also see that they gave this, they still give this kind of sword to naval officers in China, and they get their name on it rather than whatever, like dragons or whatever. That's
Do they run around with it wiggling like that? Like, whee!
Yeah, that's got to be like a lot of noise if you're like just wiggling. It's like an army of people running and wiggling their swords. Just like,
That's like the
cacophony.
first thing they do when you go medicate. They're like, "What does the sound of one sword wiggling sound like?" And you're like, "Oh, it's like whoa, 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 whoa." So at first, this movie totally normal. Guy who used to be a soldier, kind of a badass, bummed, doesn't want to be a sword guy. Okay,
Yeah.
You tell he's in love with you know what? I'm gonna call her Michelle. He's in love with Michelle. Great,
I think it's not
fantastic.
Shu Lien at all.
Yeah, she that's Mandarin. Michelle is the
Michelle. Yeah,
but she, you know, she obviously is pining for him, but they don't really go into it. They're not together.
Yeah.
Great. Okay, she owns her dad's company now. She owns a security company.
They're a bunch of like really, they're all just so prim and proper.
Yes.
They're like, everybody's got to be so damn polite.
Sword and sensibility.
Exactly. Ang Lee went to Michelle Yeoh and he's like, hey, I want to make this adaptation. And she's like, well, what is it? And he's like, basically, it's Sense and Sensibility with martial arts.
Right.
Oh,
and
really?
So when
Yeah, they said
everybody
that.
when everybody is sitting in these situations, you can tell that they're just like, they would love to be obvious about things, but they have to be so like buttoned up that they can't just come right out and say it. Like Lee Mubai, he so wants to be like, listen, I was training. I almost got to enlightenment. Then I realized I had attachments. I don't want a sword anymore. I just want to be with you, girl. But, you know, he can't just come right out and say it.
Even he
can't
can't
achieve
say
the rank of master if he's got
No.
attachments.
He can't be like I got a boner and it's not for swords anymore. Okay.
Yep.
Yeah.
And by the way, Michelle Yeoh.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, she's behind me.
She's fantastic. Next scene.
Yeah.
She's basically entrusted to take this sword because her dad owned a security company, so her job is to take it on a cart to Peking, right?
Yep.
That wheel looks like a delicious cookie, by the way. We get a nice close up of that wheel. I think that looks like a wagon wheel, something like I want to munch into that wheel. I don't know.
So all right. So
no one else?
the guy that Shu Lien is going to bring the Green Destiny to, when I read the subtitles, I thought, oh, so his name is Surte. And then I watched a video on YouTube who said that his name is Surti. And now I don't know what to believe.
Oh.
So is it
Yeah,
T
I
or
said
Tay? What do we want?
I thought it was like Tay and Tao.
You know, I kind of feel like nobody on
Day
this
and Dao.
I feel like nobody on this movie knew what Mandarin was. So they're just like, I'm just pronounce it however. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
We find out her father's company is called Sun Security, which sounds very modern.
Yeah, it's very Sun Security. Is
Sun
that
Security.
from which ironically is the same one used in the movie with Sean Connery, Red Sun. It's called Sun Security. I have to shake my head on camera, otherwise Robin will think I'm really saying this is real.
What?
It's not real, Robin.
Is
I'm
it
saying for a fact.
I'm just asking if the security is solar powered. That's something that
No, the bad guy in this, I don't know if it's solar powered because I think that's in James Bond movie.
Okay, gotcha.
Michelle Yeoh, also in a James Bond movie.
Mhm.
It's all connected.
Tomorrow Never Dies.
Don't get me started on that fucking movie.
Great movie.
That's it. No, it's not.
Motorcycles.
It's terrible.
Handcuffed on motorcycles. Let's go.
Newspapers can ruin the world. Shut up. Stupid.
Anyway,
What are we talking about?
So Shu Lien is bringing the Green Destiny to Peking for Li Mubai because Li Mubai needs to go to his master's rave and kind of be like, Master, I apologize for not
Go to his master's rave.
His master's grave because he's quitting he's quitting the sword business before he can avenge his master's death. He's like, hey, master, just so you know, I'm hanging up the sword. I know I didn't like kill the person who killed you. Sorry about that. But you know, I'm gonna move on with my life.
I don't know. You know, I did rewatch the whole movie before watching cut one and trying to like really dig in. And did they ever like say like why his master was killed?
Oh yeah. That's a
later
conversation that we are going to get, I believe, in cut 2.
Okay, sorry, we can save for that.
It's a secret that we're going to hear from the Jade Fox. Which I don't know how like coy we want to be later on in the episode when we first see Jade Fox, but we got to get there
Everyone knows
first.
who it is.
Looks just like Electro.
Yeah.
No, wait, that's Jamie Foxx.
So yeah, he gives it to this gentleman who's like, I don't want this sword. But
did you guys notice? Did you guys notice when she's I'm sorry, she's going through the city and she takes notice of these little girls that are doing these complicated like handstands and balancing bowls on their heads, and I'm just like wondering like, is this something maybe she did when she was younger and she's like, oh yeah, I remember doing that. You know, times are tough.
This is like Girl Scouts.
Yeah. Well, this is an example of her like recognizing, oh, hey, these are young women who are, you know, training their bodies to do something spectacular at the behest of like, I don't know if it's their dad or their grandfather. And I'm sure she's remembering like when she was younger and her dad owned this security company and he was training her to be like a martial artist and stuff like that. You know, it's a chance for her to be a little wistful about the past, maybe think about like, oh, you know, she's always been busy with the security company, so she never had time to make a family of her own because of her own circumstance with her fiance that we're going to hear about later. But also like once he was out of the picture, she wanted that with Li Mubai, but they couldn't come right out and say it, you know, soap opera shit.
Right. I wasn't sure if it was like a literal, like, oh, I remember when I bounced bowls on my head, or but it's more like, you know, women, we have it rough, you know, and
women be balanced.
I can't get what I want.
You know, women be balancing bowls.
Yeah. Typical.
Yeah.
But yeah,
I was more impressed with the grooves in the road made for wagons. Well,
where that delicious cookie goes through.
I don't know if those were made for wagons. I think the wagons made those.
No, those are made for wagons. Those are made for wagons.
Bring it through this gate, and then so many wagons went through that gate that they just wore a.
No, it's in the cobblestone. It's there for a reason. I think it's so you don't take up too much space. It's efficiency. It's wagons in the middle. People walk on the left and the right.
It's like on a track or something.
You got to build it's like NASCAR. You got to build your wagon to a very specific set of dimensions.
It's like a car wash.
Yeah. That's why,
put your wagon in neutral.
That's why one of the wagons had a big DuPont sticker across the front of it.
One of them said Wonder Bread, and the guy in the front of them said, if you're not first, you're last. It was very weird. And he didn't know what to do with his hands as he was talking. He's the only one that doesn't know what to do with his hands, because everybody in this movie knows Kung Fu, and it's great.
Yeah.
Michelle Yeoh's there with the sword. She shows it to him. They talk about it. Then we learn that there's another person there. The governor and his daughter are there.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Right.
I do love how Sir T is so quick to like say, I know about the Green Destiny. I don't want it. And then when Shu Lien is like, yeah, but it's going to help Li Mubai move on with his life. And then Sir T's like, wait, he's going to move on from being a sword guy and finally settle down with you, make you his wife properly. Yeah, give me the sword right now.
Matchmaker. Yeah, he's very much like, yeah, I'm shipping you guys.
Yeah, he's like, listen, Shu Lien, you're like a daughter to me. you need to settle down with this guy that you've been pining over for years and just like forget all of that stuff with your fiance, except they don't say any of this. It's only obvious enough for repeat viewing.
I'm trying to come up with their couple name for Lee Mubai and Shu Lien. So it would kind of be like,
Oh boy.
Lou, Moo, Babe, Lou Moo Babe. I'm trying to come up with.
Is it like a Brangelina thing?
Yeah.
Oh,
I'm shipping.
okay.
I'm giving him a shipping name.
Could it be like Lee Moo Yao?
I just think it's you and Lee.
It's you and Lee. Forever
Or
and
Lee and
ever.
you.
Yeah. You and Lee and you. I love the quote, when it comes to emotions, even great heroes can be idiots. And yes, we've seen this in many sword movies.
Yeah. So so we're gonna meet the governor's daughter.
Mm-hmm.
That's who's played by. I heard. Please help with the name.
Z Zhang. Ziyizhang.
I think
Right,
you
the
do a little bit of
ZIYI is pronounced Z.
Z.
G.
G.
Zhang.
G.
All right. Well,
Oh boy. Yep.
the movie makes it easy on us because her name in the credits is just Jen.
Yes. But is it Shen? Shen?
I always pronounce it as Jen. And the guy we're going to meet later on in this movie with the funny hat is named Lo. So you got Jen and Lo. Super
Awesome.
easy.
I get Jen. Do I get Lo? We'll see.
But anyway, yeah, Shu Lien and the head servant, they turn the corner and then boom, there's Jen. She's just hanging out in Sir T's study because she just wanted a quiet corner.
It's so cool that she dressed up in Queen Amidala cosplay.
Yeah. Apparently that outfit took 2 months for 4 embroiderers to make.
Oh my God. Then they had to remake it in Mandarin.
Yeah, exactly. Oh my gosh. The actress playing Jen in this scene. Do you want to guess how old she is?
In the movie? 45. She looks great.
Yeah.
I bet she's like 18.
She was 21 when this movie came out. And if they
Robin,
filmed it in like
pervert.
98, 99, she was like 19, 20 when they actually filmed it.
Gotcha.
Wow.
But yeah, she's in there and Shu Lien decides to like show off the Green Destiny. And Jen is 100% a sword boy. She sees Green Destiny and her eyes light up. She wants nothing more than to be a sword person.
Again, watching this entire movie, I'm seeing these scenes again, and you know, and I apologize to those who are just watching spoiler-free cut by cut, but I will say, like, right when Jen is in this study, like Shu Lien brings in a sword that's basically going to change her life. And is it coincidence? Is she there by accident, or is it destiny? Like, you know, is this her destiny? Is she realizing this now? Because yeah, it gets confusing about like how much did Jen and Jade Fox know ahead of time? You know, how would they know that the sword would be here, ripe to steal?
Yeah, I'm guessing that they didn't know that Green Destiny was going to be here, and it's just like a happy coincidence that, you know, Governor Yu gets transferred from the West over to Peking, and then they're there anyway. And then, you know, Jen is at that point in her training where she's like, okay, I've already surpassed my master. I need a weapon to match my abilities. And then, boom, here's the Green Destiny. So might as well. She's trying to get out of her aristocratic life, you know.
Yeah, this thing's going to sit in a study and collect dust. I don't think so.
Exactly. When does Karg show up?
Karg?
When is the space butthole coming?
That was the last movie. Wait a second.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
I think I saw Blade. Blade is guarding the Green Destiny later on.
Yeah.
Cool.
Which is why it's so easily stolen.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly. So yeah, this is you know, and I don't know if we'd like to make a term for this, but this is some sword porn right here. Seeing Michelle just playing with this. I just want to pick that thing up. Like, I don't know if I've been so drawn to a sword in any of the movies that we've seen. Maybe McLeod's sword, but even so, it's just kind of like your standard broadsword. It doesn't make a cool little ring. I'm not a fan of the decorative tassel at the end, I'll say. I don't know. It just seems like it would whack me in the face or something.
Look,
Whipping it around.
they revere cats, so it's just it's a kitty cat toy.
Aw.
When you're fighting, sometimes you have a cat near you, and just you want it to come closer.
I just love the little whip she gives it, and that like we keep
makes
talking
that-
about
yeah.
the ring.
And it makes like a
Sing.
wobble.
Yeah.
It sings.
Like-
Sings the right word. It sings.
Yeah.
The Green Destiny, as we're going to see like in a later scene where Sir T is showing it off to Governor Yu, like the Green Destiny is essentially like a lightsaber. It is a super sword compared to all of the other swords that we've
Can
got.
we come
in
up
this
with a
movie.
name for the vibration at some point? Because we got the ooey ooey ooh. We're gonna need some sound of the sword, like a woo. It's not a clang clang.
Is it a
It's not
wiggle
clang
wiggle?
clang. It's a
Wiggle,
what?
wiggle?
It's a
wiggle,
wiggle.
Wiggle wiggle.
Wiggle.
It folds. Wiggle wiggle.
Gosh.
It could be a wiggle. We can call it the wiggle wiggle.
I don't know. Unless somebody else comes up with something there or just in conversation. But
The whoa, 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 whoa.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
Jen doesn't believe that Li Mu Bai would just give up this sword. It's too valuable. It's too powerful. And Shu Lien's like, yeah, you wouldn't understand why he would want to give up the sword. And I'm like, okay, we show Star Wars to kids, and if they can understand that Jedi aren't supposed to have an attachment so they can be one with the Force, I think that someone like Jen can understand. Oh yeah, Li Mu Bai, he stared too long into the abyss, and then realized he had other stuff he wanted to do.
She's a governor's daughter as far as Shu Lien is concerned. That's why I wrote down, I was like, it's a sword boy thing. You wouldn't get it.
No.
So Shu Lien is gaslight gatekeep girl bossing.
Yes.
She's definitely gatekeeping her.
Yeah.
And then she says she prefers a machete, which I was like, oh, interesting.
Yeah.
So like a shorter sword.
Yeah. Shu Lien's machete, it's not necessarily that much of a shorter blade. It's just that it's one-edged as opposed to being two-edged.
Oh, right.
How uncivilized.
I know, right? But
my introduction was Michael Douglas cutting through a bush, not in Basic Instinct, and romancing the stone.
I'm pretty sure there's no bush in Basic Instinct.
Oh, that's true. Did you get a close look at that?
Unfortunately, yes.
Were you watching like Newman wiping your brow?
Shu Lien tells Jen that there are rules associated with being a warrior out in the world, like friendship, trust, integrity, cut off the head, absorb the power, stuff like that.
Churches are sacred ground. You can't hurt anybody on sacred ground.
Does it seem like they're both attracted to each other's lives? Like, would Shu Lien really just like to just chillax and just be a lady and enjoy the lady life and I said all this like,
she is a lady. She's from a powerful family. She has as much clout as this girl. In her mind, it's a girl. I'm calling her a girl because that's what Michelle is. She's kind of treating her like a child.
Yeah.
She's not talking down to her, but she is kind of giving off some, you haven't seen what I've seen.
Yeah. But like Shu Lien has clout, but she has like earned clout. Whereas Jen is, the daughter of governor. So it's like
she's
inherited.
Potential clout.
Exactly.
She's Schrodinger's clout. Write that down.
She's not dark clout.
Shu Lien gets to
he comes in later.
Travel the countryside and fight bad guys and stuff like that. That's the life that Jen wants. And then Shu Lien's like, yeah, but you also got to stay in some pretty dodgy establishments and associate with some pretty awful people. It's not all it's cracked up to be. It's a total
not like the movies.
grass is always
Jen,
greener situation.
Yeah.
Like I mentioned earlier, we get a short scene where Sir T is showing off the Green Destiny to Governor Yu. Governor Yu is like, oh, this is awesome. I got
and at that point it's a 400-year-old sword. So we know that. So it's 18, it's like a 1400.
All the measurements. Oh, this is good stuff.
2 feet.
You're gonna build it. If you're building this for cosplay, this is the scene you got to listen to. They tell you within
exact
centimeters and millimeters. Wow, how long it is.
No, they say inches, which I thought
that's Mandarin.
Yeah, we're translating it into the English for the subtitles.
I see. Okay.
But
okay.
Yeah,
and
Robin,
it glows green, like you said, which means that goblins are near.
Yeah, Robin. Do you want to Robin, do you want to read out the measurements for the Green Destiny and then Jonathan can edit in some of that like twangy porn music?
Oh yeah. All right, let's do this.
Why are you giving me work?
You always give me work.
Oh, well,
all right.
Yeah, sure.
All right, bros.
By the way, we're talking about waggle. Unfortunately, the sound
Riddle?
effect that came to mind is that sound effect of what a boner sounds like a boing. That's the first thing I heard. So just be prepared. That might come into this movie at some point. So please begin.
Oh no, I was very happy to be sidetracked. I don't think anybody wants me. It's just to be a porn narrator about the sword. But
Read it. Read it.
all right, bros and bastards. This thing is 2 feet 9 inches long, 1.1 inch wide. The handle 8-inch deep, 2.6 inches wide, 7/10 of an inch thick. Oh, thick. 1.5 inches from ear to ear of the handle, with 7 rubies missing from the hilt. So don't put your rubies in there if you're doing cosplay. And it goes back to the Qin era. And it's engraved with a technique lost by the time of the Han Dynasty, which I was like, oh, it looks just to be engraved with like some dragons, really. I thought I heard technique, like I think of martial arts technique, which I'm assuming that's what they mean, but I don't see any sort of like letters on this. I was ready with the Google Lens.
So the design, the engraving technique was lost by the Han Dynasty. Do you think Deckard Shaw is behind that?
Could be.
Maybe.
Could be. The hunters. All right. And it's also worn toward the tip, much like maybe Li Mubai might be himself. That you could see that sword has been plunged into many, many people.
But it cleans itself so easily.
Mm-hmm.
Did you guys like get angry when Governor Yu had the balls to like just kind of like tap that sword and like it makes a nice clang sound, but
clang.
Yeah, I'm like, dude, it's 400 years old. Don't be like, I don't even know. I don't know what he made to make the clang sound, but
and then the sword is made to be used. It's not some gentle thing.
No, like, it's not used. You gave it to him. You left already. It's not used.
Right.
It's not made to be used. Actually, it is made to be used because later on, doesn't you use it?
Oh man.
It's not confusing at all.
6 episodes of this, guys. Here we go.
Yep. Are we talking about Governor Yu or Shu Lien? And I'm honestly
not for Lee and it's not for you. Okay.
I'm really not sure what to get out of Master T's advice to Governor Yu here. I went back on that scene over and over and I was like, I guess I just don't know enough about history or the mechanics of this governance that I to understand. But
yeah, I think the movie writers wanted to make us believe that they're not just here to talk about the sword. There's like, this is all sort of political advice.
Yeah.
Trade routes. Things like that. Federations of trade.
Governor Yu's like, I sent emissaries to the Trade Federation to try and lift this blockade. I haven't heard back from them yet.
And now there are 2 of them. Getting out of hand.
It's getting out of hand. Yeah. But while this meeting between Sir T and Governor Yu is happening, Jen is off in
Mr. T, actually, if you say it correctly.
Call me Mr. T.
Yeah.
Pretty sure he was Sir is higher than Knight. Or Sir is higher than Mr.
I pity the you.
What are you gonna do with this sword? Pain.
That doesn't make any sense.
Nope.
So anyway, Jen is in her chamber. She's getting ready for bed. She's taking off all of the accoutrement and whatnot. And who should walk in but her governess? And spoiler alert for everybody who's only watching this movie one cut at a time.
Yeah.
This governess is the Jade Fox. That's going to be very important very quickly.
What? She's also kind of a Southern racist old man. So it kind of all kind of works.
Yeah. She's like, you don't want to consort with those type of people. Those people are trouble. Like, okay.
Yeah. Okay, grandma.
So like, yeah, when I first watched this, I thought like Jen might have been her student, but here she is surprised that Jen met Shu Lien and is telling her, don't socialize with those people. Like, is she just living in hiding, you think? Or is she really like,
I don't think the Jade Fox yet knows that the sword is here. Once she knows that, that's when it becomes the thing. I think she's literally like, don't be around them because they're a pain in the ass. Like she knows them from before and they're a pain in the ass and just don't.
Yeah, they suck. I killed one of them.
Those type of people. Yeah. She's got a real, sticking her craw about the whole Wudon type of people because of her experience with Li Mubai's master. We're going to get that story later. I don't want to jump too far ahead.
Yeah.
But yeah, she's got a real prejudice against all the Wudon people, even though, she uses their techniques and whatnot. But, we don't need to worry about that. Autumn is coming. Just perfect time to steal things.
So they steal stuff.
Yep. So we get to meet this guy, Bo. He's a guardsman under the employ of Sir T. And he's
Mr. T.
just the best normal guy swept up into something bigger energy. Like, he's just a dude on his nightly rounds, and then he like catches something out of the corner of his eye, and then before you know it, he's getting his ass absolutely handed to him by this like 5 foot nothing, 90 pounds soaking wet kid.
Yeah. Well,
who we know to be the daughter.
Yeah,
so when
Jen.
I first watched this movie, I did not immediately catch on that this was
because you were
Jen.
trying not to be racist. You're not like
oh, really?
Definitely her.
Because I was like, especially when she starts fighting Shu Lien later. I was like, doesn't Shu Lien just recognize her?
Once they like showed her eyes, I was like, oh, this is someone.
Robin.
And then
Robin,
like by the second cut,
who is this? Where am I? Where did Jonathan go? Beep. Where am I?
Hey, you're a stranger. Wait.
Yeah. But this first section of the theft, when Jen is completely in shadow and clinging to the ceiling and stuff like that, I was like, oh, who is this person? It wasn't until like they got into the light where I was like, oh.
This is where this movie really picks up, because I love how quiet and quick Jen is, just getting in there, darting across the roof.
Yeah, I'd like to talk about this, the wire work, with the beginning of probably
here we go
5 episodes of wire work talk.
Yes.
And this is probably where I was like, I love it, but I think you did it too much. And that's where I'm like when she climbs in and you can tell she's on a wire. And I'm like, for everything she's doing, she's on a wire. And she's like walking on the wire. And of course, you can't walk the same when you're. So there are a lot of scenes there's some scenes where they're just doing this in the air, and that makes me laugh. I'm doing it on the screen for them. I'm running in place. I'm Fred Flintstoning in place.
I will.
Yep.
I will let everybody know, if you've seen Superman the movie, it's the part where young Clark races the train.
The train, yes.
That is Wuxia here in this movie.
So yeah, I mean it's amazing, because I want this movie to be a little more fantastical, and it does become more fantastical. Because at first this movie is just kind of like, it's very dry what we've gotten through so far, and when the fight starts, you're like, oh, this is weird. Like, oh, they're doing wire work. Okay, this is going to be kick ass,
right?
And it is amazing work. The stunt work, I read that a lot of them did their own. Maybe not all their stunts, because there's one part where I know that's not Michelle Yeoh running sideways on a wall, but for most of it, it's them.
Yeah. Did you, by any chance, find the trivia bit that told why Michelle Yeoh is not always present in her action scenes?
She got hurt.
She tore her ACL, which is why so many of like her face scenes are sitting and talking.
She had to fly to America. Get her ACL repaired, and then she flew back while it was healing and would do the sitting down scenes. So there's a lot where it's not her, which sucks, because she's good at this stuff, and that's literally what she's good at. But age catches up with everybody. Because at this point, how old was Michelle at this point? Was she in her 40s? Close.
Let's see, she's 38.
Okay, so she's almost 40. So I mean, she's been doing kung fu movies for years, and you're gonna tear something. And this is aggressively good. The wire work, can't see anything. It looks great. Of course, it's ridiculous, but I kind of like the ridiculousness, because what it's teaching us is, in this world, anytime they're doing this form of kung fu, they are somehow lighter than everyone else. And even the guardsman, like the guard doesn't have this same, he doesn't do any wire work. Like he's just on the ground getting his stick thrown around and hitting him in the face. Whereas
getting roof tiles thrown at him.
What is that weapon, by the way? Like,
that's cool as shit.
Really, that weapon? It's like
Well,
it's
It's like a
with
nunchuck, but one of the sticks is a pole.
well, it's a
well, he doesn't
it's
know how
a
to use it.
farm
Apparently.
tool. It's designed for you to whack wheat
It's a
and
hoe.
knock the wheat from the chaff and stuff like that.
Would you
and
call me?
And he
It's a
just
hoe.
he's just using it as a urban pacification tool.
Yeah.
Like this really long-ended nunchuck is his, Chinese version of just a gun.
He brought a hoe to a hand fight or whatever.
Yeah. Like the biggest revelation of this scene, once Shu Lien catches up to the thief, is she realizes that like the style of fighting that Shu Lien has is not as effective against the thief as she expects it to be, because the thief is trained in Wudon techniques, which is Li Mubai's fighting style.
Yeah.
And I love the moment of realization of like, oh crap, no, this is not some regular person. This is someone who's actually dangerous.
Now, does she have the Wudon training too?
Yeah. So I think
if you have Wudon training, you can fly.
Yeah. So Shu Lien does not have proper like Wudon Mountain training, because Wudon Mountain people don't train women, which is going to be a whole thing later on in the movie. But Shu Lien has her own style of like, stuff that she probably picked up from her dad or from training with Li Mubai. It's all like secondhand stuff.
Yeah, I looked up, the whole wuxia thing, which plays into like how everybody that's trained in this Wudon can fly or whatever, levitate or whatever. But like, it's basically like wuxia is like, these are martial artists that are so good that they have supernatural abilities. So that's how they can kind of float around, I guess. I love it. Why does Jen take the time to like stop and throw shingles at Bo? Is it just, I would have just been gone.
Yeah, she's like,
no, I'm going to stay here and ping him.
Because you can't call her a ninja, because that's not what this is. It's not
right.
Her outfit is what Americans would be like. She's a ninja because she's wearing black with a mask.
Yeah.
So you're like, oh, she's a ninja, and like, well, that's not what those people were called. And in this at this point, so she's just a prowler. She's in prowler garb, basically. I'm making fun of the fact that the running Fred Flintstone style through the air. It's still beautiful. But again, this movie, as you'll hear if you listen to the beginning of this episode, me having to pick a song for this movie is a lot harder than any of the other movies. The soundtrack is it's authentic. So the music is not as orchestral, or there's not like, there are themes and leitmotifs through the songs, but it's not the same. There's not like a John Williams style, and now here comes the crouching tiger, and now here comes the hidden dragon. There's no.
They didn't have a little Imagine Dragons at the end of this.
The only thing they have is there's one pop song, and that may be the opening. We'll see.
Yeah, there's that or Defying Gravity from the Wicked soundtrack.
Yeah, I do like how when Shu Lien, I do love how when Shu Lien jumps into action, the music kicks up and it's like Shu Lien do 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 do.
We finally get to Masters of the Universe.
Yes,
music. It was so good.
But there is
just don't play kung fu fighting. That's
right.
It's gonna be that's a little bit of a bang on the head.
So as Bo is chasing this thief down the streets and alleyways of Peking, he comes across a couple of people that are fighting the thief. It's this older man and a younger woman who turns out to be his daughter. And these folks are going to be more important later on in the movie. But for the time being, they are trying to just get away from Bo because they don't want to mess with him. But it's in the subtitles that we hear that the guy yells, stop them. It's Jade Fox. And the girl is like, we must avenge mother. So there's going to be like this whole side plot that involves them later on, but they don't want to deal with this right now. So they're just going to leave the scene.
And they Michelle Yeoh does, there's some climbing up walls, there's some running sideways on walls, super cool.
Oh, at one point she throws what I assume is a giant bale of hay at the thief and knocks them out of the air. And I love one of my favorite parts of this fight scene is just the way that Michelle Yeoh is able to like control the movements
and keep her on the ground. Like she puts her foot on her feet and she keeps wrapping her foot to keep her from flying away. That's pretty great.
At
I
one
know it's
point, she
not
just reaches
her
up
foot.
and pulls her back down
Mhm.
to the ground.
Just like, hey,
Like, no.
get back down here. Get over here. I love the hand-to-hand combat. It's just so like it's like a ballet. It's wonderful.
Guys, other than there being a sword strapped to somebody's back, though, not a sword fight.
Yeah.
No.
Michelle Yeoh does
No.
grab the handle of the sword at one point, but the thief kind of does like a weird little like jiggle maneuver to like get out of the way.
And it makes the noise again. It's like boing.
Um,
They
Robin,
go so fast. Even it's just. I mean, I was so excited when Eddie Reyes Jr. was fighting in Beastmaster, and I'm like, I love this. This is just like, I'm like,
not Beastmaster.
Okay,
oh,
first
sorry,
it was Ernie
Red Sonja.
Reyes Jr. in Red Sonja.
Eddie. Did I say Eddie Reyes?
You said Eddie.
Sorry, Eddie.
But I do like that you said that the fighting is like dancing because Ziyi Zhang, who plays Jen, she came from a dancing background as opposed to a martial arts background. So she learned all of her fights like a choreographer would, conduct a dance.
And then translate it into
Mandarin. Yeah.
right. Yeah.
And I did a lot of Michelle Yeoh watching leading up to Everything Everywhere All at Once, and she actually had like a modeling background and really had to learn the martial arts style, and yeah, she's just that good. She's awesome. I love her.
And who was our fight choreographer for this movie? I believe it's someone famous. And right now the name has escaped my notes. Oh, yeah, it's Yin Wu Ping,
who did The Matrix.
Yep.
Right.
And Drunken Master and Iron Monkey and like a million other movies.
Right.
Yeah, it's crazy how young he is. He's only 79 years old now. But in my mind, Drunken Master came out 60 years ago. So he was doing this when he was like 19. It's amazing. This is some of the best. Now, going back this is Jaded Jonathan from 2000. When I saw this,
Jaded Fox, Jonathan.
Jaded Fox. I was still at first I was still like, what is this? Like, what, like, are they gonna fight with swords? Is this gonna work? And later on, I'm super happy with the movie, but I remember being in the theater, just being like, oh God, this is gonna be Sense and Sensibility. This is going to be some sort of drama when I want a fight movie. So I was happy to see this fight in the first cut.
Yeah. I think just about every cut of this movie has some sort of spectacular display for us to watch. And I'm so stoked.
The sets are all insanely amazing. Like it's all well built. I will give them that. It's beautiful to look at. This is probably, I hate to say this, but this is one of my favorite of Ang Lee's movies. Probably
right up there with the Incredible Hulk or whatever. Yeah. I think his was just Hulk, but Hulk.
Yeah, I don't love
Hulk.
I don't love the Hulk. I don't love Gemini Man. And I'm not so steeped in his work in China that I know every movie he did. Like, cause I'm sure there's some badass.
He did Sense and Sensibility.
Yeah.
Yeah. Also, not one of my favorite movies. But yeah, I think it all comes down to he's Taiwanese, and he is sometimes it's the language barrier, I think, that causes some of the problems with the movie. I think the Hulk was trying to be something it wasn't. But I think Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon is exactly what it should be. Although it still boggles my mind that they all are speaking Mandarin and none of them spoke Mandarin. That's crazy to me.
Yeah.
But
Ang Lee has a funny career. Like he'll come out with Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon in 2000. Then he'll do something like Hulk, but then he'll bounce back with Brokeback Mountain.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Like,
yeah, you're like kind of like he definitely is. He has a deepness, I think, to him other than other directors. He's not like a Ridley Scott whose movies look great, but also another guy. We've talked about him before in the green room. Like he's got some amazing action movies and then some just real turds of movies. And that's to be seen from anyone. But he's speaking English and doing English movies, and I can't imagine not speaking English as well as he does now more. But I can't imagine this movie seems more comfortable, and you kind of see it in the story. Like everything can make sense. It's a real cohesive story. It's very beautiful, and I'm excited for the next 5 cuts after this.
I'm just glad that we're not going to suddenly teleport to modern day LA in the second cut. We get to stay in China for the story.
You'll get to see Quildor show up in a kimono. Like, I think I can make this work.
Wasn't he in a kimono in the other movie?
Yeah.
Wasn't he wearing women's clothing?
When he raided the closet. Yeah. Came out dressed like grandma. But
listen, only Best Picture nominees from here on out on Swordboys. Let's do this. Let's keep it quality.
We got plenty to look forward to, so join us because next time, suspicion mounts in the wake of the Green Destiny's disappearance with rumors swirling that Governor Yu's household is harboring a dangerous fugitive. Shu Lien begins her investigation by visiting Jen, who longs to be set free from her aristocratic trappings. Elsewhere in the city, Bo makes contact with Inspector Sai and his daughter, who confirms that Jade Fox is indeed hiding in Governor Yu's house. Shu Lien returns to Certes to find Li Mubai has arrived, but he is more concerned with Jade Fox than he is with recovering the Green Destiny. That night, Jade Fox springs her trap on Sai, but Li Mubai's arrival forces her to flee. A phantom menace strikes in cut 2 of Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon.
A Phantom Menace, you say?
That should be good. I'm excited. I'm actually not watching the whole movie, so I'm watching it only cut by cut. Because it's been 25 years, so I was like, I vaguely remember they fight around some bamboo and they perch on top of bamboo stalks. I remember that.
Yeah.
Kind of, but that's all I know. I can't even tell you how this ends. No idea.
Oh man, it is it's a cliffhanger.
That's why I'm super excited.
Yep.
Well,
sorry, Rick.
In the meantime, all of our stuff can be found on swordboys.biz. Check out our website. Follow us on social media.
And join our Patreon at patreon.com/swordboys, where we do TC Booze. There can be only one. We have a great group of people over there. And sometimes we do stuff. If you give us a little bit of money, you can listen. And if you give us $20 for 1 month, we'll do the movie you ask. It has to be a sword movie. Don't be crazy. But
come on.
It needs to be a good sword movie. We're not going to watch.
And Oscar nominated.
No, TC Booze or movies.
This is going to be a very short list.
Yeah.
Was Yellowbeard Oscar nominated?
I'll check.
We'll check. All right. So, we'll see you. So we'll see you next time. Clang, clang.
Clang, clang.